If you're not a Twitter goblin like I am, or have been in a coma for the last 3 to 4 days, you might have missed a great post from our good friend Greg Street over on Twitter. I covered it in my Twitter speculation video, link at the top here, but Greg asked the community, so let's be a little more negative for a moment. Without bashing other games, what features do you not want to see in the game that we're making? Obviously referencing the MMO that Riot Games is currently working on. Now, I went over some of the responses to that exact post and kind of generalized what the community was saying in there. About a week later, Greg went back to Twitter and summarized what he had gotten from that post. In this video, I want to go over the rather lengthy thread that Greg had posted on Twitter about his response, and more importantly, talk about what his view is on artificially increasing the time that developers use to make people play their games more. This will be a rather quick video compared to my last one, which ended up being about 26 minutes long. I don't think this one will be nearly as long, so check it out and hope you enjoy. Greg's response started off by him saying, "A lot of the comments we received, thank you, were about artificially increasing the time you have to play an MMO. A quick thread. I put artificially in quotes because the entire product is pretty virtual at the end of the day. But this sentiment comes out when players may not be having fun in the moment, but feel like they have to log in or risk falling behind or letting their friends down. A little of that sentiment is probably healthy. It's the same thing that gets you to actually show up to the party you were sort of dragging your feet to go to, but then end up enjoying while you're there. I showed up for raids for years, even on those days I wasn't excited to, because in the long run, it helped out my friends and our goals as a group. But you can definitely overdo this. The real heart of the problem, in my opinion, comes when players say they are bored. They did the raids and the alts and the economy and whatever else, and they kind of want something else to do. This is especially true if they are paying by the hour or by the month. If you add too much to do, then you're asking most progression-focused players to just play more. But if you make the content really optional, feeling, hey, why don't you go finish this low-level quest you never ran, then it doesn't feel like real content. This is the kind of thing we will have to playtest the heck out of. But if I had to guess, we will probably come in on the side of not having enough to do. Yes, I'm serious. We don't want to be the only game you'll ever play. If another game comes out that you love, or God forbid you love more than one live game, say Valorant, you should be able to play those too. If you don't have another game you want to play, great. Read a book, catch up on TV. We will make more content, and then you can jump back in. If you really, really love our game, well, thank you. And we will make sure there is something you can do, even if you just want to play more and more hours. But it will probably feel pretty optional. The TLDR of all this is we want to respect player time. Now please don't misread that to imagine we are making a small game. We're not. It is a very large game. The reason you are going to have to wait so long is because it is a large game. But we can still respect your time. And you can help remind your friends when they say they're bored and wish there was more to do, that the developers didn't want it to feel like a second or third job. They didn't want you to have to play 4 hours every day without fail. They didn't want every session to be epic. He finishes off by saying, he can't wait until we can share more. And remember, if the kinds of things I am describing end up sucking, we will change them. End thread. Now, I think Greg does a really good job of kind of summing up his view on the artificially inflated games that we see so often today in MMOs. And he also does a great job of speaking on what his views and what his views of the development team are and what their plans are for the game in this thread. But I do think there's a few snippets that we can discuss here just real quick, and maybe you guys can leave your feedback in the comments down below and we can talk about it. Now, first, I kind of fully agree with the little bit of it being healthy. If you feel like you need to log into the game and play it and keep up with everything, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But I think for sure it gets overdone sometimes, especially when it comes to lockouts. If you miss a set of dailies, or even a set for a week, it's really hard to catch up, in some games at least. For me personally, I think adding great catch-up mechanics and allowing people to catch up with their friends and not being locked out at the end of the day is a great thing to have in the game. Another thing I wanted to point out is where he says that this is especially true if they are paying by the hour or by the month. I think to me, it all but confirms that this game is going to be free to play, or at least just have a box cost. I don't expect it to have a monthly subscription fee, and it probably will be carried by some form of in-game store. He also confirmed the fact that they're going to be playtesting the game nonstop. Now, whether that's a public playtest or an internal one only, we can really only speculate at this point. He also goes further to say that he doesn't want to make this the only game that you're going to be playing. Now, for me, in my older age now, I guess, really enjoy playing other games. I picked up Elden Ring recently and it just felt great to play. But I know at the peak of my playing World of Warcraft or any other MMO that I was really involved in, I never would have touched a single player game at the time because I would be missing out on any progression that I could do in that MMO. Now, I hope this plays out in the game and allows us to do what we want in these games and not necessarily feel totally pressured by them and cause what oftentimes happens is just immense burnout. He also says that there will be tons of content. There will be things to do at any time, but he doesn't necessarily want to make them a requirement or progression based. More just side things you can do. I would expect collecting mounts, collecting pets, collecting different transmogs, that kind of thing. And I think he really finished it off great by saying that at the end of the day, he just wants to respect the player's time. And I think that's all we can ask from an MMO developer at this point in time. He also confirms that this is going to be a large game. This isn't some little MMO where you can just do little things every day. It's going to be big. The world's going to be big. And that's really exciting news to hear. So I said a little bit more than I wanted to. It's not the longest video. It's not the shortest video. But most importantly, let's start a discussion. I'm curious what you guys think about this. If you want to join my Discord server, we have discussions going on there. You can follow me over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Obviously, if you're not subbed here yet, you're missing out. We're doing this. We're going big. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.